This is the Sports Porch, Philadelphia, with your hosts, the Grand Schwabini, Rube, and me, your technical director. Come on, Philly, show us a little Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now. All right, Philadelphia, this is the Philadelphia Sports Porch coming to you live all over the world on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. And we do have a podcast that I'm going to drop right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. And we want you to follow us on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch and on X at Philly Porch. I'm your TD, your technical director. Coming to us live from Austin, Texas is Rube and the Grand Schwabini in the basement studios here. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to talk Philadelphia sports. This week, we're going to talk about the Phils. They are surging. Thanks to the Pirates.
That helped a little bit.
It does help. The Pirates are helping everybody. They're a nice team. They're nice. They help people. We're going to talk about the Flyers, who hired none other than Rick Tocchet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that made some Penguins fans angry. Possibly. We'll see if HJ chimes in. We're going to talk about the Sixers. Who should they draft at number 3? The Eagles, the NFL schedule came out. That event is probably almost as big as the Super Bowl to some people.
I think it's ridiculous.
Not to me. It's not, just for clarity.
It is kind of ridiculous. Just the NFL itself, compared to when we were younger, it just seems ridiculous. But hey, look, they make
everything like the biggest thing in the world.
I know, and it works.
It does work.
That's the thing. It works.
Does work.
That's the thing. Yeah. So we're going to talk about their schedule. Obviously, it's a what is this word you gave me? Yowza.
Well, Yowza means I think the fourth most difficult schedule.
Okay, so that's okay. It's Yowza is like from Scooby-Doo. And if we have some time, we're going to talk about what the Grand Schwabini is watching.
Yes.
Right?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. So let's go to page 1. The Phils, they continue to close on the Mets. They sweep the Buccos, or the Pirates, if you don't know what that word means. They're now a half game out of first place.
0.5.
That's right. Atlanta's surging a little bit, but they are 5 games out. So as you said before the show, Grand Schwabini,
not too concerned.
Not really worried about Atlanta.
No.
We'll see what you say in September. But and of course, you have a highlight. You want to see that?
Yeah.
You want to do the highlights?
Yeah.
Of, this kid.
So Mick Abel, 2020 first round draft pick of the Philadelphia Phillies, made his major league debut yesterday, and here are some shots from that.
Did you hear this? I'm watching ESPN. It's just they're saying they're expected to vote on this. Okay,
yeah, so we know that's coming up.
Okay, so
we can keep you on task.
All
here.
right, let's do it.
It's a great day to beat Mick Abel as he is making his major league debut.
Now, this is
one of
a
the
long
coveted
clip.
prospects
it is.
for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. He got him with a curveball. His first big league strikeout. And yes, his family is here, and they are loving it.
His dad looks like he
has
can
about
still pitch.
50 people that have come to watch him
he
pitch.
can play football.
Wow. And what an emotional moment that must be for them.
What a throw for Dad.
Classic O'Neal Cruz swing there.
Slider curveball down and in, and when you're throwing it 98 miles an hour.
Not even close.
He
had some heat, man. He was throwing 98.
Pitch.
Yeah.
Breaking ball and a called strike 3. A curveball and a thing of beauty. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Canario. And a strike 3 called on the outside corner. That's the first slider that he's gotten for a strikeout. Swing and a miss. 4 strikeouts.
That was a really late swing.
Swing and a miss. He got him. He just struck out the side. He's got 5 Ks through the first 2 innings. Swing and a miss. 6 strikeouts. Swing and a miss. 7 strikeouts for Abel. 2-2. And a strike 3 called on the outside corner with a curveball. 8 strikeouts in his major league debut. He is climbing towards some rarefied air in Phillies history as he gets O'Neal Cruz.
Boom, go right after him.
And there you go. Strike 3 called. 9 strikeouts in his major league debut. He joins Kurt Simmons for the high water mark in Phillies history.
Who is Kurt
incredible.
Simmons?
Yeah, who is Kurt Simmons anyway?
He was a very good pitcher back in the day.
There you go. Thanks for the answer. So there you have it. I mean, the one thing I brought up pre-show was, it's the Pirates, and they strike out a lot. But, Paul Skeens was pitching for them, and the Phillies could only muster 1 run because Paul Skeens is good, and they won the game.
Yeah. Hey, look, you got to admit he did outduel Paul Skeens yesterday.
He did.
Do you guys want to hear a quick stat?
Sure.
Schwabini, this is going to probably be more for you, but, we were kind of kidding about who's Kurt Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Born May 19th, 1929. A 3-time All-Star, a 1964 World Series. He died December 13th, 2022. Do you know in what town he died?
I'm going to say Ambler, Pennsylvania.
Ambler, Pennsylvania. Yeah. It's like you look,
baby.
He died in Ambler. That's something. Shout out to all our homeboys and homegirls.
What was it? A car wreck? Was he hit by a bus?
No, he was like in his 90s.
I know. I'm just kidding around.
100.
Well, God bless him. So Mick Abel outduels Paul Skeens in his major league debut, and the Phillies are looking pretty good right now. 28-18. So
little thoughts on Mick Abel. First of all, he looked really good. I was able to watch the whole thing.
He did actually look really good.
He was throwing 98. He might have hit 99 once, and then the curveball was like 84. And he had really good control. Now it's really kind of an interesting thing with him because the main guy that we're waiting to bring up is Andrew Painter. But a couple years ago, they thought that this Mick Abel, when, they'd be discussing Phillies trades, they would say that Mick Abel was also an untouchable. And then he had a really bad year in AAA last year,
right,
where he really lost his command and maybe lost confidence. I don't know. He made some adjustments this year, and this year he's been great down there. But it's very interesting. So, now all of a sudden you've got another guy who looks like he's got top of the rotation stuff. The thing that I'm kind of thinking though is, was this performance a way that he just played himself into a trade? Because, we're not trading Andrew Painter. They don't want to trade. They would trade Crawford, but they don't want to trade him. They don't want to trade Aiden Miller. So this would be the guy that they would probably have to give up in a big trade. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, especially with the news from Saturday with our man, Mr. Alvarado.
Yeah, let's just put that up here since we're going to talk about
Alvarado.
That. Yeah, Jose Alvarado suspended for PED violation and ineligible for the postseason. Isn't he claiming that he's swearing it was something else, right?
He's saying it was a weight loss. He was saying it was a weight loss drug.
Oh, okay.
But nevertheless, you got to.
What's your take on
it? You think with all the money these guys make, they would have a personal doctor that would watch everything that goes into, around, near, close to their body. Their body is how they make their living. So I have no shame on him. Shame on him.
Yeah. It is a shame on him.
That sucks. And for whatever the reason is, now instead of needing one arm, we already said we're gonna have to trade someone to get a big right-handed pitcher in our bullpen, and now we're gonna have to go get 2. And so to your point that you made a minute ago, Schwabini, now everyone knows we need a closer and we need relief help. So they're going to come hunting for, the top of our farm system. So I think you're right. I think it was a great accomplishment by Abel yesterday, but it's one start.
Sure.
And so, but maybe that's the one start we needed in order to go get that guy from Oakland. So good for him. Or the other idea. Sorry to wax onward. Maybe he finds himself in our bullpen rotation. Who knows?
Well, I think, another part of what could happen here is, look, we know that Painter's going to be added to the rotation probably in July, right? And so, and look, I mean, I guess you got to let Nola go back to the rotation after he, whether he actually has an ankle injury or a head injury is to be determined. But he'll go back in. And then you, of course, have, Ranger, Sanchez, and Wheeler. So that's your 5, right? I think that, well, actually, no, Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez, Suarez, and Painter. That's who would go into that spot. So I think, another thing that you could think about is either bringing Taiwan back into the starting rotation or, let's see how it goes. Maybe a few more starts with Mick Abel and put Ranger back in the bullpen, because now you only have Strahm as a lefty in the bullpen. So you need another lefty in the bullpen, and Suarez has had success with it. I think at some point you just got to say to him, look, you got to do what the team needs.
Yeah. Or they put Sanchez, who's already under contract, in the bullpen and see what happens there. I'm just hopeful with a guy like Nola, could he be like a John Smoltz and just learn how to go be a closer as a possibility? I don't know. He gives up a lot of home runs.
Yeah, he gives up a lot of home runs, and he also I don't want to say he's not a bulldog, because he's been
a lot of innings.
He's been a warrior for them over the years, but he doesn't really strike me as like, a bulldog type mentality for a closer, So I don't know. But, and one last thing on Alvarado, I part of me does wonder if what he's saying is true. And look, Dombrowski, the GM, he said it's true that he was taking a weight loss drug. Look, now, yeah, I get it. You should ask and you should make sure, and it's his fault. But like, are we getting a little ridiculous here? Is everything that you put in your body a problem? Like, look, the dude is a fat closer. Why can't he lose weight like anybody else in the world? Like, he wants to take Wegovy or, those.
He's not everybody else in the world. He's one of a certain percentage of people that have made it to the big leagues, makes $1 gazillion. There's another way to go approach it. Or you pay someone who's smart enough to know what you put in your body. Maybe not all weight loss drugs are like that. But the fact of the matter is, and Dombrowski said it, they're responsible for what they put into their body.
But why is that on the list? You know what I mean? Like, why is that on the list?
Because it's got tested. Because apparently there's testosterone in it. And if you look at his stats this year, his fastball's a little faster and his splitter is cutting a little bit more than it was last year. He was awful last year.
I don't know. I think he's the same old guy, man.
Okay, so this if you say that, then this is a great segue into this baseball conversation. This past week, Major League Baseball announced that now that Pete Rose is dead, he's eligible for the Hall of Fame.
And Shoeless Joe Jackson.
And of course, they have to throw in Shoeless Joe if they're going to throw in. Yeah, right. It's so they were banned from baseball for breaking the golden rule. So Alvarado, we're using him as, the example, and you're basically saying, does this stuff really enhance his performance to the point, you can't put anything in your body? To what extent do we know? And it truly makes you better, gives you an edge, just like Rube was saying.
Right. I mean, it's not like it's not HGH.
Okay. But we've had this, right. But we've had this argument. Back when Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were using substances, mainly steroids, but other things, they weren't banned substances, but for some reason we can't put them in the Hall of Fame.
No, we can. We can put them in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They're just not getting voted into the Hall of Fame.
What I'm saying is they're not getting the votes. So, I guess I'm looking at it and saying, okay, Pete Rose broke the cardinal rule and he knew he was breaking it. Now he's dead and you're saying it's okay. What happens if they vote Pete Rose in on the first ballot?
First of all,
shouldn't Barry Bonds? I know I'm going all over the place here, but isn't this a ridiculous argument, though? That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
I kind of agree with you when you're talking about Alvarado. Like, it's kind of ridiculous to me. Like, I know these guys they're responsible for what they put in their bodies. I get it.
Right.
But it's like, where is the science that actually says that you are that much better because of it? Do we have definitive science that says it?
Probably not. Now, look, it makes a little more sense to me. Like, if you're a skinny Barry Bonds and then, 5 years later, you're like an absolute specimen with a gigantic neck, right? Like, that makes sense to me when you go from 35 home runs to 73. That makes sense to me that, you got more power, now, like with Alvarado, look, actually they said from the beginning of training camp, he's lost like 15 pounds. So guess what? The weight loss drug is working. But does that mean he's, throwing it faster? Does that mean he's going to recover more quickly from an injury?
But maybe he's throwing it faster because he doesn't have all that weight to lug around.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's just we get a little ridiculous with this stuff at times.
I agree. I think and talking about Barry Bonds' great big neck, that's kind of a caricature. There's guys that are as big as him playing in the game right now, and Aaron Judge comes to mind. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying Aaron Judge takes steroids.
Well, but Aaron Judge has always looked like Aaron Judge.
Well, I get it.
With Bonds,
I don't think he's always looked like that. I think he's looked like that while he's played Major League Baseball. I don't think a picture of Aaron Judge in high school, he looked like that.
Well, let's get a picture, damn it.
Let's get one. So I agree with you in principle. I think we're getting a little bit ridiculous with this. And I don't know. I don't know where it goes. Did Brady Anderson take steroids and that's the reason that he hit 50 home runs as a leadoff batter one year? See,
he got him from Rafael Palmeiro, who also played for the stinking lousy Orioles. Wait, was that my outside voice?
Welcome to the show, Rube.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? You're a baseball writer. Are you putting Pete Rose in? Yes or no, technical director? And then we're going to go around the horn.
Okay.
First ballot.
I am not putting him in. And it breaks my heart. I'm not putting him in, but it breaks my heart because
why are you not putting him in?
He violated. I've heard this all over the radio. I've thought this for years. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame because of what he did. But that rule is a rule that baseball has had forever, and they talk about it with their players all the time. It's like a big sign that says, don't gamble on baseball. And he did it, and then he denied it. So no, but it breaks my heart.
Is it that? And I kind of go, we'll go to you next, Grand Schwabini, but, getting back to does it really matter? To me, the steroid thing feels like a worse offense than gambling. I don't.
Because guys in the dugout are putting wagers on things happening.
And it's legal. I mean? And right. Now that it's legal, does that change what happens in the clubhouse? Well, I don't know. We see it in NFL. You're not supposed to,
well, here's
gamble on NFL games. But anyway, go to the Pete Rose thing. Grand Schwabini, in or out?
So for me, Pete Rose is in, no question, because he's the hit king. And while he was a baseball player, to our knowledge, he did nothing wrong. So what I think you do is you put him in and you just make sure that on his plaque, you mention that when he was a manager, he was suspended for betting on baseball. And there it is.
Okay.
That I just say you just do it. You just do it like that.
Okay. Rube?
I am more in line with technical director on this one.
Oh,
he's a purist.
Yeah, he's good natured.
The rules are the rules. You broke the rules. He knew better. And it didn't help that he was kind of an asshole to everybody. So
That's true.
But he didn't break the rules as a player. He didn't break the rules for 4,000 hits.
How do you know he didn't break the rules as a player?
Well, we don't. Of course we don't.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, the take that I heard, there was a baseball guy out here basically said, look, the rules are the rules for anybody involved in baseball, from the training staff to the locker room staff to the players to the managers to the administration. No betting on baseball, period, ever. And he was a manager. Yeah, sure. Maybe he didn't bet as a player, but look, he admitted he had a gambling problem. That gambling problem didn't stop when he retired and then start when he retired and then became a manager. He was most likely gambling his whole life.
Whether he was doing it, whether he was betting on the win or not, or for his team or against his team, that is, baseball decided that is our number one rule, and he knowingly broke it. And as much as I loved watching him play, and of course a big part of our Phillies World Series in '80. I also think it's kind of cowardice for MLB to do this now. I don't know why they did it or what's going on, or Manfred's trying to get in with Donald Trump or whatever it is. It's not. It
doesn't have to do with anything.
Because Trump.
It is actually Trump did. Trump
really?
did. Yeah. Trump wasn't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're right. I did hear that.
Yeah.
That makes me even want to keep him out more, to be honest with you. But we'll keep our political views to ourselves. I say it's a no. As much as I'd like to see him in.
Yeah, and HJ chimes in. He agrees with Mark in the plaque thing, and he says that Shoeless Joe gave away the series. That's worse. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if you're a White Sox fan, it's worse, but it's still gambling is gambling. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I'm with you, Rube. I enjoyed watching Pete Rose play. He played harder than anybody. He was kind of like a bumblebee. You know what I mean? Bumblebees aren't supposed to be able to fly.
I don't think he's a bumblebee.
No. Hear me out. Bumblebees aren't supposed to be able to fly. Their wings, they physically
they do fly,
but they do. Yeah. You look at Pete Rose. If you just look at that dude,
get 4,000.
He shouldn't be able to play baseball,
right?
And not to the degree, not to the success that he had.
Right. Right.
Being part of the Big Red Machine and all that kind of garbage. I mean, it was just he was incredible. He gave like regular kind of short, stocky, fattish guys like me hope, and then he pissed it all away.
And he cared about winning more than anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy who knocked somebody over at the plate in an all-star game. It didn't count for anything. Right. So it's like, to sit there and say like, he shouldn't be in because he gambled. I mean, like he tried harder to win than anyone I've ever seen play.
But the thing is, if you're going to have rules, you got to have rules. And that was a damn good rule. I mean, think about it. You're playing a professional sport and there's a lot of money on the line and you gamble on the sport. Maybe you've affected the outcome of some games.
Let me ask you guys this. We start baseball today. What's the number one rule? What's the number one no-no in today's environment?
That's a loaded question, Rube. I would say
forget all the rules. Anything goes.
There you go. Yeah. Have you seen the Savannah Bananas? I mean, come on. Are there really any more rules?
But my point is gambling worse than performance enhancing drugs?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing. So Steve brings up an interesting point. So Ohtani should be out, right? So here's the other thing that really bothers me with the gambling situation. So it's like, we can't forgive Pete Rose, but everybody did everything in their power to try to make you feel like it wasn't Ohtani.
I'm with you
because
on that.
he's the biggest star in the sport, and they did not want that going down the Pete Rose, trail.
I'm with you on that 100%. That was, in my opinion, that was a total cover up. There's no way his money manager is gambling all that money and Ohtani doesn't know about it. I'm sorry. And if he does, then listen, he's not going to be rich very long.
Man, I'm gullible. I didn't even. Right. I bought into the media. Do you guys think he was gambling?
Hell yes.
Yeah, of course,
yes.
Dude. You don't have look, the guy's actually his translator.
Yeah.
You telling me you're giving your translator $4 million to bet on games and you don't know about it? There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's just an opinion, of course.
Just an opinion.
That's right. But
allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not buy into that media. Look, everything is covered up now. And I'm not an Ohtani fan. I'm not a Dodgers fan. I wasn't an Angels fan. So had Ohtani been in an Orioles uniform, the godless, helpless, sorry Orioles, would I have thought differently? Well, at this when I was younger, probably, but at this age, it's like, look, what's there is there. Read the tea leaves.
All right.
The tea leaves.
We've done enough with
Are
baseball.
You done with baseball now?
Let's talk pucks.
Okay, let's talk about the Flyers. Page 2. The Flyers have hired a new head coach. He's a former Flyer. I feel like he played for every team in the NHL.
Well, in the end, he kind of did. Most of his time was spent with the Flyers and the Penguins.
That's right. So Rick Tocchet is now the head coach, the 25th head coach in Flyers history.
So, Rube, what do you think?
Nah.
Okay.
I want to be excited about it.
Yeah.
But then I see his, I know he won I think he won a couple cups with HJ's Penguins as an assistant. But
yeah.
What else has he done?
He was 2 years ago, he was the coach of the year.
Yeah, because he got a lot out of lousy Phoenix Coyotes. Okay.
Well, isn't that good?
I think that's good, but I don't know. I don't believe that he's the right answer for what we're trying to go do. I think he's a household. I think he's a household name. We're trying to win, I guess with a young group. So I guess he did that with the Coyotes, so to speak. But his history as a head coach, besides that 1 year, and HJ is coming in 0 playoff wins as a head coach. You can't overlook that, and that's why I'm meh. I like that he's a Flyer. I like that he's going to give it his all. I like that he's coached young guys and had some success. But would I rather have someone that's a proven winner? Probably.
Well, here's the thing though with hockey is that
tell me what the thing is with hockey, Grinch.
Let me tell you about hockey. Let me tell you about hockey.
What is the thing with hockey?
Tell me, teach me.
Okay.
And I don't think this is going to happen with Rick Tocchet. I think he'll get a good 5 years, but hockey coaches get fired constantly, more so than any other sport. And to say, well, I would have rather hired a winner. So okay, so if you do that, right, then you hire Peter Laviolette, right, who, has taken teams to the Stanley Cup Finals but hasn't won. And he last year had the Rangers hosting the President's Cup trophy. And then this year he's fired because they missed the playoffs. So, look, there's like 5 or 6 guys like that you could bring in. I'd rather bring in a guy who's had a couple years of experience as a coach. Hopefully he's learned a lot, right? He spoke in his press conference about learning a lot, coaching some of the best players on the Penguins. And look, the guy's got fire. Nobody's going to mess with him. He also has respect. He'll help attract free agents to come play for him, which I think is really important now that we're finally at the point now where we need to bring in some free agents and we have some cap room to do that. And I believe in the I just believe in the, I guess, sort of the relationship that he has with Danny Briere. Having played with him, having been friends with him, growing up as a young boy in Canada. I just think that, when you know somebody really well, you really have to have confidence in them to hire them, because if you're hiring them just to hire a friend, you're going to be the one who gets canned in short order. So I like it. I think it's just a move in the right direction. Like Steve said, for sure, better than Torts, right? And like some things that he said, which actually Hockey Jesus has said. Like when Torts was fired, I think what's the name of our second best player? Forster. So Tyson Forster went on like a streak. I think he scored like 10 goals in 10 games, right? And that's because Brad Shaw, who was the interim coach, was letting him play freely. And that's what Steve was talking about. HJ, he was saying, you got to let a guy like that play freely. And in his press conference, it was like I was just listening to Hockey Jesus. Tocchet was like, yeah, I think there's a lot we can do to improve the power play. And part of it is letting these really good players play free and creative, So I think he's got a lot of the right, the direction that he has in mind for the team, I think is a good one. So I'm positive about it. I've always loved Rick Tocchet. I loved him as
a player.
I'm in love.
He won't be a Schwabini's in love. That's really cute.
Yes,
I'm in love.
Yeah, listen, this is Maurice Cheeks 2.0. It's a really feel good story, but he won't be our coach within the next 2 years.
Rube is bringing out
Mark the tape.
Basically, what you're saying is you have no confidence in Danny Briere and Keith Jones.
I don't think this was the best hire they could have made.
Well, look,
they still have to earn my confidence. They do. They're a year into the job, so we'll see.
Well,
I hope they prove me wrong.
Well, but think about the first thing they did. The first thing they did was draft Mitch Goff. How's that gone? Pretty good. So let's give them a little space.
Well, this is going to be a fun year.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun year because
no space.
No space for you. No space for you.
Well, Rob is really.
He's throwing the Negadelphia at it.
It's not. Oh, I can't have a negative take anymore. Got it.
No way.
Got it. All right.
You can have a negative tape.
I'm speaking to the energy in your room there with that blue couch in the background. Which what? Wait a minute. Is that a yellow polka dotted pillow? In back of you, what is that?
That is an orange. Well, you want to know about that?
Oh, you said
Tennessee.
Yeah,
it's a Tennessee blanket that Leslie's 100-year-old plus grandmother, God rest her soul, Grandma Jane, knitted for me.
Oh my God!
You want to make some more fun of it?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty special blankie.
I do. No. Yeah. Why don't you go cry into your special blankie, Rube?
I have nothing to cry about.
Well, it sounds like it.
Moving on.
I don't think they made the right hire.
Moving on.
I don't think they made the right hire. Okay, I put up the wrong thing. All right, let's move on here on the Philadelphia Sports Porch. We're going to move on to page 3 right now. Yes, it is that time again. It's time to start hoping beyond hope that the Sixers do something right.
The Sixers have the 3rd pick in the draft. There is some talk. Would they package that pick with Paul George for a star? I think it's just a lot of talk. I don't think that's going to happen. So what I did was I picked out the top 4 guys that I think could be available at number 3, with obviously Cooper Flagg going number 1. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. And then, Rube, I want you to tell me who you think the guy's going to be. So
can we, hey, Mark, before we go on, can we agree that whole trade possibility in packaging Paul George isn't the best route?
No, it's stupid. It's stupid.
I think it's stupid as well. So
Yeah,
okay, we agree.
Yeah, they're talking like, get Kevin Durant. He's 37.
I don't want Lauri Markkanen, Kevin Durant. I want. Yeah. So I agree.
Yeah. So let's get younger.
Okay.
So this is now most drafts have Cooper Flagg going 1. Most mock drafts also have Dylan Harper going number 2. If it goes that way, then Ace Bailey would kind of be your prime candidate for number 3. However, I think Ace Bailey could impress enough to move up to number 2. So some of the stuff we to know about Ace Bailey, some say he's got the highest ceiling in the draft, that he might end up being better than a Cooper Flagg. Stands at 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan.
Hey, by the way, he's only 6'7". 6'7.5" is what I've read. They without his sneakers on.
Well, but he plays in his sneakers, right?
Well, maybe it wasn't with or without. I don't know. But they did. But he does have the wingspan.
Is he on any weight loss drugs? We'd like to know that too, Rube.
Okay, either way.
Listen, technical director, you're going to be
either way, he plays small forward, and if he's somewhere between 6'7" and 6'10", that's good height. Would you agree?
6'10" sounds a lot better.
Okay. I think Rube just came out of a really chippy staff meeting right to the show.
So
go ahead.
So bottom line is he's a very gifted scorer. I watched this guy. Now, I don't know if you realize this, they don't do, the NBA doesn't do what the NFL does with their combine, but the combine is like right after the draft. And I actually watched this dude shooting up 3-pointers, and holy crap. I mean, he made almost every one he shot. Now, true, there's nobody in front of him. I get it, but the dude looked pretty darn good. So that's one guy. Let's move on to the next guy. So I've got Dylan Harper here, who might go number 2, but if Ace Bailey kind of moves up, he might be sitting there at number 3. And they made an interesting physical comps comparison to Dwayne Wade. So look, he's a little bit more height than Dwayne Wade, just about the same weight. Wingspan's the same. Standing reach is the same. Kind of plays a similar type game. He's not really like a 3-point shooter.
I just want to point out, I took the ticker down, and just for Rube's benefit, listed heights are with shoes.
Yes, I see. They are with shoes. So, Rube, Dylan Harper might be 6'3" and 7/8.
Yeah.
Hey, Schwabini, if I gave you a ruler, would you be able to show me what 7/8 looks like?
Probably
0.875. Got it.
Okay, so there's your Dylan Harper. Okay, let's go on to the next guy.
Okay, I'm going to do that right now. You only gave me 3, by the way.
Did I give you 3?
Yeah,
okay,
you only gave me 3.
This is VJ Edgecombe, 6'9" wing from Baylor.
Is he 6'5" or is he 6'9"?
He's both. 6'5", 6'5" without shoes, 6'9" with stilettos.
Andy plays it.
So this guy, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know too much about this guy. I mean, look, they say he's a 2-way wing. He's got star upside. He could be special on defense, 3-level scoring ability, great feel for the game, slasher, finisher. I didn't watch a lot of Baylor. Maybe you didn't, living in Texas. But to me, I want one of the 2 Rutgers guys. And I think the guy that I want is Ace Bailey. What say you, Rube?
Well, I got a couple things to say.
Okay.
One is, I don't know if this is a known fact beyond this, our podcast panel here, but there's a sign in Schwabini's life that has been pointing to this pick for many, many years. And I'm going to remind you, Schwabini, what it was. You once had a license plate that said Ace.
That is true. I did.
What? He had a license plate. He had a vanity plate that said Ace.
No,
vanity plate. It just came out that way.
What do you mean?
ACE.
Oh, so the universe.
Mm-hmm.
was. Those were the first 3 letters.
And I have to say, you know, I'm somewhat of an Ace Frehley fan.
Right.
The band.
Now that being said, I don't think there's ever been an ace in the NBA, right? That's ever been any good. Or AC Earl. Who's that AC guy from Texas A&M?
You have to admit, Ace is a fantastic name.
A fantastic name,
Yep.
but I've never met an NBA player worth anything called Ace.
How many NBA players have you met?
I've met 0.
Okay.
Listen, I think. Listen, on all seriousness, I would take him because of the upside. I haven't watched him play a lot, so I don't know much. Apparently, he takes crazy shots and practices them and makes them. If you're going to take a swing, let's take a swing on the highest potential in the draft. It worries me because Rutgers had 2 of the top 5 players that are going to be taken, and they did nothing. So. Not sure what to make of that. I think beyond him,
maybe the other 3 guys on the court were like, you know, Upper Dublin high school type level players.
I'm pretty sure not at Rutgers. However, if it wasn't him, I like this kid, and you're going to call it a homer. This kid Trey Johnson from Texas. He's a scorer. He's a flat out scorer, and he can shoot and make it just about anywhere on the court.
But isn't that what Maxey is?
Yeah. I don't think there's a Michael Jordan sitting at number 3 is my point. And so I think it's roll the dice, and glad we got a number 3 pick, and pick your highest upside and roll with it. Because we're going to be rebuilding anyway within the next couple of years.
Okay.
Well, I looked up NBA players named Ace, and the only thing that's coming up is Ace Bailey. That's it. I don't think there has been. There's been guys with the nickname Ace, but not that I can find. So
Ace Bailey is a true original.
Yeah, he could be a true original, much like the Grand Schwabini's license plate. Was that on your Honda, on your Prelude?
I think that might have been on my Toyota Celica.
Oh, on the Celica.
The Celica.
Yeah. A red Celica.
Yeah, I remember that car. And I remember the Prelude, and then the Nissan.
Yeah, I don't think the world wants to review my car history.
Well, I mean, it's part of who you are.
It is true. Get to know me.
But you have to admit, me remembering that's pretty special.
That is pretty special. That's friendship there, man.
You are special. So when is the draft? What day is the draft?
Well, who are you taking? Schwabini, who are you taking?
Yeah. Well, he wants Ace.
Oh, I said Ace.
He wants Ace.
Oh, you said Ace. Okay.
Yeah. He wants Ace.
What do you think, TD? What is TD's son? What does TD's son think?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. That's a good idea. You know what?
Yeah. When do you think he might surface again? Do you know where he is?
I'm not sure anymore. I'm going to ask him.
Do you think you should put out a missing persons report?
No, I mean,
I
know he's alive. I know he's alive. He finished his first year of college at Point Park. Yeah.
Okay.
He got straight A's.
Oh, good for him.
And he's transferring to Kent State. And he works at a daycare right now in the summertime. So now everybody's gotten to know me a little bit, but he is a huge Sixers fan. So
while you try to text him, why don't we move on to the next subject, which is the Birds. So did you see today, Rube? Nick Sirianni extended. I think
Nick Sirianni extended, and Joe Douglas comes back.
Joe Douglas coming back to help with scouting.
I think that's great.
Amy May loves hearing about.
She does. She does. She gets to know a little bit about me more and more.
Yeah. But I didn't see anything on the extension, how long it is, and for how much. They say they don't do that, but at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like everybody always gives you the number. I think it was definitely 4 years, I believe.
4 years? Okay.
4 years, but I don't know the money. But
listen,
you have to assume that he's probably going to be like in the top 5 highest paid coaches, wouldn't you think?
It's one of the winningest coaches, highest winningest percentages of all time. I don't know how you argue with 2 Super Bowl trips and 4 playoff runs in your first 4 seasons.
4 years.
Yeah. So listen, he's earned it, but it's certainly such a it's so divergent from where we were at week 5. It's just crazy. We were ready to run the guy out of town. The whole city was ready to run the guy out of town. And it's just, he's got it.
We need a little patience.
Yeah.
As Axl Rose would say.
I think that it's a great thing. I predicted last year the Super Bowl. I'm going to probably predict. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I didn't bet on it, and I should have.
You were a fool.
I wouldn't be banned from anything. I am a fool.
Smart, but yet a fool.
Yeah, but I think I think they've got a good chance to repeat this year. Yeah, I am. I'm in love.
We should. That's a good segue. We should talk about the schedule then. Speaking of repeat, and let's
talk about the schedule. So Rube, here are the things that I want to point out. There's a couple things. So first thing, obviously, they've got the 4th hardest schedule in the league, and they do this based on the opponent's winning percentage from the previous year. Okay, so they're at 561. The two teams in front of them, the Bears and the Lions, are at a 571. The Giants are at a 574. Call it what you will. I mean, they're one of 4 teams that basically have the same tough schedule, right? So that's number one. But the couple things that I think are a little bit unusual with this schedule are they don't have a back-to-back home game the whole schedule. And I don't know about that. That to me strikes as a little bit odd because, you would think that that's a way to build some momentum. And it's like they're not really having a chance to build momentum off of being a tough team to beat at home and, stacking some wins back to back. So I think that's a little concerning. Then again, they barely lost last year. So there's that. But what do you think, Rube?
How do I not be Mr. Negative here? I think strength of schedule, it's a fun little thing for the NFL to do. And I just looked up. I said, how predictable is strength of schedule in the NFL? And it says, in the NFL, the predictability of team strength of schedule is generally considered low. While SOS calculations based on prior year records can be a useful indicator, they don't fully capture the complexities of the NFL schedule. And I tend to agree, right? It's like trying to grade a draft class the year they're drafted. You just won't know for many years, and we won't know. But listen, if we are the best team in football, I think we reloaded. I think we'll be fine. History says, based on Sirianni's track record, we're going to go to the playoffs. And really, at the end of the day, it comes down to who's going to stay healthy. It's kind of ironic to me that the Giants have the hardest schedule. I think maybe just because, it's how could the Giants, who were the absolute worst, have the hardest schedule?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound right to me there.
But I mean, the reality is like I look at there was a year, because I do unfortunately live in Pittsburgh, being an Eagles fan. But now, in all honesty, Pittsburgh's a really nice place to live.
I'm glad you said that.
But
it's beautiful.
But so I do follow the Steelers as well. And I mean, there was a year where like the Steelers got both Bengals games without Joe Burrow. They got a Browns game with DTR, who's now on the Eagles, and they actually lost that game. But you never know who you're going to get. I mean, even just think about like the Lions are on the schedule. Well, what if Jared Goff's not playing that game? Now,
Did you hear about the Lions? They have 4 or 5 games against teams who play Monday night, following Monday night games. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, let's stick to the Eagles' schedule, the strength of schedule. I mean, look, they were the Super Bowl winner, so naturally they're going to have a hard schedule. So that's to be, expected. As far as not having back-to-back games, that's strange. That's
a little different.
Yeah. I mean, what's their longest? I'm looking at their schedule this year. So their longest away, they're home, away, home, away, home, away, away, home, away, home, away. So they have 2 stretches where they're away for 2 weeks. In the beginning of the season, they play at the Giants, at the Vikings. So they're home against the Broncos, at the Giants, at the Vikings, back home against the Giants. And then later on in the season, they're home against the Raiders, then at the Commanders, at the Bills, and then back again at home at the Commanders. I mean, there's a gauntlet right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you're sandwiching a game against the Bills in Buffalo with both of your games against the Commanders, first one at home or first one away. That's good to me. If the Commanders rebound and have a good year again, and it's a division matchup anyway, so they always play each other pretty hard. That's tough.
Well,
man. That's a tough part of that. That's ending the year.
Well, and that's also though, that whole thing, that gauntlet could become,
if
a slushy. Yeah. If some big players are hurt, right? Like
a slushy.
Like, what if Jaden Daniels is hurt?
Oh, of course.
What if the Bills have their playoff slot is locked in. Are they going to, play Josh Allen?
Yeah, well,
right?
It could be it could be in the reverse.
What if Jalen Hurts isn't?
What if Hurts is hurt?
Right.
And your fortunes are riding on Rube's favorite player, Tanner McKee.
Yes,
the heir apparent.
Second favorite.
What'd you say, Rube?
Second favorite.
Second favorite. That's right. I'm sorry. Jake Elliott is your first. So. Are you going to go cry in your Tennessee blankie again?
No.
This guy is that difficult to deal with, Rob. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. It's interesting. Why doesn't Tampa Bay ever come to Philadelphia?
I know. What's up?
And why is it always like the third week of the season?
They don't want to play in the cold. They don't like to play in the cold. And they're afraid.
Baker Mayfield, for whatever reason, just carves the Eagles up. He just destroys us.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting year. Their schedule is it's a tough schedule. I mean,
we'll predict our wins and losses as the season gets closer.
Yes, we'll carry that another time.
Yeah, there's no reason to go ahead and predict them right now because, geez, camp isn't even over. Camp hasn't even started.
Nope.
So it's a tough schedule, but somebody's got to play it. And the Eagles are going to play it. So let's move on here to what we're watching. We got one for you today. Grant Schwabini, tell everybody who's out there watching us why you're doing this and what you're doing it for.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the ex-Philly Porch audience. We've had some really nice numbers from them today.
Absolutely.
So thanks for staying with us. This is the part of the show where I give back to you. Now, we all like to watch TV in the evenings. If you don't, I don't really know what you do in your life. Maybe some people work out. That's probably a better choice.
Crochet.
But, most of us like to watch TV. And you know what? It's so damn hard figuring out what to watch. There's so many channels. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Max, you got Peacock, you got Paramount, you got Max. Did I say that already?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just so many out there. Showtime, Stars.
Yeah.
Does anybody watch anything on Stars? I don't know.
Only if it's like Vacation.
But anyway, so there's so much out there, and what we do is we watch a show. You have to watch the entire season. You can do a review if you've watched one season of 2 or 3 or something like that. Just have to be through one season. But we're going to tell you if it's good, if it's not good, and we're going to save that time for you. We make it so that you can go to your significant other and you can say, hey, the guys at the Sports Porch said, watch this. It's an automatic lock. It's good.
Yep. And
or don't watch this.
Because it's bad. Right.
Yes. So does it always have to be your significant other, or can you take these ratings and tell other people?
You could tell children these ratings.
Oh,
you could go and tell your religious community. You could discuss with a club.
Yeah.
Anything. You could give these to anybody.
Scrapbook it. You could scrapbook it.
You could scrapbook it. I mean, you could, if you're playing Words with Friends,
yeah,
let that person know.
Right. Absolutely.
Superstar 24, Florida.
So Amy May chimes in. I reviewed The Pit on one of our other shows. She says, I like The Pit. Did you watch it with her?
No, I'm not interested in medical shows.
No,
I don't like that.
No, you don't like. You don't like that?
No.
You like murder and stuff like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Murder, drugs, things of that.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
Sci-fi,
okay. So Schwaber is watching
Trigger Point.
Of course.
On Peacock.
Wow.
So, for whatever reason, I just, I was looking for shows to watch, and there was a show that I did start watching, which is really good, called Poker Face. On got a lot of awards.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show, but
so I'm like, for whatever reason on my TV, Peacock is like to the side, so I actually have to like move my cursor thing over to even get there. So I'm like, I gotta look at Peacock. I could be missing stuff there. So I found the show Trigger Point, and it was now there are actually 3 seasons, but what's only available on Peacock is 1 season, the first season. And, it seemed like it would be interesting. It's basically about these couple people that are on basically a bomb squad. So when, terrorists are trying to blow things up, they find out about it. They go to the site. They have to defuse the situation. I figured, one of my general rules is action never fails. And this hits it right on the head. I mean, it's 6 episodes. Heck of a lot happens in 6 episodes. It was a pretty good story. It was sort of about a serial kind of bomb maker. And I really enjoyed it. It's a British show. The only thing that is a little frustrating was I saw that there's a second season, and there's actually going to be a 3rd season coming out soon. But it originates on a channel called BritBox.
Oh yeah, BritBox,
and you have to pay for that.
Yeah,
I don't want to pay for that.
Yeah.
So like
my 85-year-old mother watches BritBox.
Does she?
Yeah, that's the demographic.
So I have to wait till season 2 comes on Peacock, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was well worth it. Just action packed, 6 episodes. You're kind of guessing. It's kind of hard to figure out. So it was good, really good. So I would say
any big actors that we know about?
Nobody you would know. Just all probably British stars.
We love the Brits, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Great people.
Yeah. So how have your confirmation classes been coming, Rube? Are you any closer to being a Catholic? Now that you've
with that being said, we should sign off for the week, technical director, and you should go take your lithium.
Yeah, yeah. You held it together the entire show with a second left. Couldn't contain yourself.
What are you talking about? He's been watching shows about the Catholic faith. I thought maybe he would. No.
Well, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
We're learning about it.
All right. I'm sorry, Rube. Just don't cry in your blankie. All right.
Go easy on him.
This is
damn it. In a bully.
Lithium works magic, TD.
Things are going haywire here as always, but it is the Philly Porch. Thanks for watching the Philadelphia Sports Porch on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and you can catch the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Philadelphia Sports Porch, and subscribe to us on X at Philly Porch. For the Grand Schwabini sitting across from me, for the much esteemed Rube down in Austin, Texas. I love you, Rube. You know I love you.
I love you.
I'm your technical director. I'm out. We'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Eastern.
You're out of your mind.
That is true.